Hello guys, today I want to show you a game between Tari Aryan and Andrey Esipenko, opening like a discovery of this Tata Steel 2021. So Esipenko's playing black, e4, e5. So normally Esipenko plays this e5 lines because he wants to play like solid openings and safe, so he doesn't mind to play draw. He's not really that aggressive actually, he just wants to have a nice game, not to make too many mistakes and wait for his opponent to blunder. That is my opinion for now. He's not playing like crazy. And Aryan is actually has very aggressive style. And he even goes for piece sacrifices, positional piece sacrifices, which is very rare at this top level. But so that's what he plays. Knight d3, knight c6, bishop b5, so Ruy Lopez, a6, bishop a4, and d6. So this is improved Steinitz variation for Ruy Lopez. Very solid line. Just black wants to, finish the development and be a little bit worse, but not be, let's say, not to risk too much. So very typical for Andrey. Knight d6, rook e1, bishop d7, c3. These moves, of course, all very standard, and g6. With this solid position in the center, when the c5 pawn is protected, so black has time to develop the bishop to g7. I'm actually not a big fan of this bishop on g7 in Ruy Lopez because it rarely has lots of work. Yeah, this diagonal. Black doesn't want normally to capture ed, so because white will get this nice center with c and with the d4 and e4 pawns. So in many instances, how in this game for white will capture and black will have to recapture with the pawn. So this, again, this bishop here on g7 might be a little bit out of play. d4, bishop g7, knight d2, castles, bishop c2, and knight to h5. So the idea behind this move is to threaten to jump over to f4 and develop play the f5 move. Another issue with this g7 bishop and f pawn is that the king protection will be lower than if in case bishop, let's say, is on e7. Yeah, this is a bit loose combination. When you have this structure with h7 and g7, then you can be attacked. So let's see what happened. Tari took and Andrey took back. Of course, you cannot take with the bishop because then you will lose all these dark squares. And if you take with the knight, then engine recommends something like knight takes e5. So in case bishop takes, then knight f3 with tempo and attacking this g5 square. Alright, so he took with the pawn and Andrey took back with the pawn. So now we have this issue with the bishop. Yeah, of course the position of black is fine, but so they still need to find the counterplay. Knight f1, knight f4, knight e3. So this, as long as this g6 pawn, it controls the f5 square. So white maneuvers the knight. It's standard to threaten to go there for f5, but in this case it's logical that Tari is moving his knight to d5 now. It's the only square for the knight, and it will like commanding position for the knight. Also, just notice that this c3 pawn is very nicely placed here because it takes away from the knight the d4 square, and this knight cannot go to d4. So white has a little bit advantage, even though the ancient shows it's like total equal position. So king h1, king h8. This is played in order to get ready for f5 breakthrough. Like black, this is their plan, and if the king remains on g8, then this bishop b3 and at some point knight to g5 will threaten to win an exchange and so win a tempo. So he plays knight to d5. He wants to threaten this knight and remove it, so black will remain with passive pieces. Knight e6. He doesn't want to take with this knight, so that white will capture. Let's see what ancient proposes if we take. The ancient says that white is winning with the ed, and yeah, this pawn is lost because now we attack this pawn with the rook and knight. Alright, so he plays knight to e6 and h4. The idea is to prepare for this f5 breakthrough. If Andrey, let's say, decides to go for it, so then we will have this g5 square for the knight. The position opens up, but I'd say that black is not coordinating very well. So the opening of position is more favorable for white. The ancient says that still f5 is the best move here for black, so and shows like 10 move variation after like white wins the pawn, but after 10 moves black wins it back, but it's really hard to find this long variation. So Andrey played h5 instead. So he doesn't want to allow this h4, and he decided that this f5 doesn't give him equality. So he decided to wait passively what white will do. Bishop e3, f6. Sometimes we see this passivity with Ruy Lopez for black when they play f6, g6, and just bring all their pieces to defense. And for white, it's sometimes not possible to break through. But of course, it's white is better. b4. I wouldn't consider this move actually for myself. I would like to play like queen up and bring the rook to d1, for instance. But he finds that it's possible to play like a bit awkward move, but given that this bishop is dead, so it's possible. Knight e7. Not really threatening this knight because the opening up of the position is favorable. Again, this bishop will play, but of course this c6 knight doesn't do anything, so we have to look for it for work for this knight. Queen e2, knight to c8. So some commentators were saying that for instance knight to g8 was better, and then prepare bishop h6 and exchange of the dark square bishops. This dark square bishop is not doing much, but given that black has this loose pawn structure here. It's hard to like try to defend, even though this bishop is very nice, but it's not that good. But still, your king kind of becomes weaker. So that's what Andrey thought, I think. So he played knight to c8. Now both players are just maneuvering. c4, a5. I'm sorry, c4, queen e8, c5, a5, and a3. So now white decided to play on the queen side for now. He wants to restrict this knight, and given that none of pieces have been exchanged, so play for domination. Yeah, so when you don't have these exchanged pieces, then black inevitably will have problems with lots of pieces and too little space. So Andrey played knight to a7, bishop b3, just step by step. He is not in a hurry. He keeps like pressure, and even though the engine shows like only one pawn advantage, it feels like that white might be even better. Yeah, you can play c6, so very hard to play a pawn move, and I mean, this pawn is attacked, so lots of problems actually, lots of weaknesses. Knight to b5, bishop c4, attacking. Just white plays all the moves are random. Yeah, they decide what to do. It's you don't want to allow this with black when just you can be attacked by any point. So in this position, engine was showing that a4 is much better. Yeah, but I don't see how bishop c4 is a bad move. So he took back, and he took the rook on a1, so given the white this d line. The engine was proposing that after these exchanges to play rook to d8, kind of not allowing this fight on this a file, and maybe preparing later for c6, and you know, trying to fight from the back line, not just opening up, exchanging pieces, and giving white's points of like entrance of the black's position. So he took the rook and f5. So white is getting better evaluation. Engine shows like plus 1.8, but Esipenko was tired of this long-term maneuvers, and he missed some tactics we will see later. Of course, you don't want to play like that when you have this h5 pawn, and with the next ray queen is attacking this, and I don't see how black actually can create any threats. So he took with the pawn takes, and knight g5. So just immediately black is not yeah, there is one idea of white is to take this knight, and then this knight is attacked. So this knight doesn't have nice square to go unless he plays something like c6. So he took himself this knight, pawn takes, and f4. So, and in this position, white played the winning move of the game, which Andrey missed, I guess. So he played rook to a8, sacrificing the rook. But if queen takes, then it's queen to h5. So this queen here was overworked defending this h5 square, h5 pawn, and if king is here, then very nice mate with double attack with the knight and bishop. So this is what Andrey missed. So after rook a8, he played queen to g6. So he took the rook, took and played bishop to d2. So it was attacked. So this knight here is attacked. If he plays something like c6, then queen e5. So all these pieces are just coming in, and you can defend your king properly. So if you and like he cannot go there again because of this c5. So it's a double attack. So what did he do? He played knight to a3, attacking this bishop, and if he takes, then he could defend. It's winning still, but he could get this light square bishop exchanged. So Tari just played back, bishop d3, took the pawn, and queen e4. So threatening mate, and there's no good defense if he plays queen to g7 and bishop to c3, attacking this, and you cannot defend with your pieces because bishop to d6 will be taken by this pawn. All right, nice win by Tari, and probably Andrey was a little bit tired, but he's only 18 years old. He will have more power in future. All right, thank you very much.